But we're pleased to have Senator Kari Dziedzic join us today to give an update on some work she's been doing on our behalf. Senator Dziedzic has been a member of the Senate for a number of years from North Minneapolis, has been a very accessible and helpful senator to us on pension issues. She clearly understands the issue better than most at the legislature, and from her position on the tax committee has been very helpful this year with a proposal regarding the taxability of some of your basic plan benefits. Senate Republicans have advanced a proposal to make sure that all Social Security benefits are exempt from tax. As all of you know, you made higher contribution rates and were not available to take advantage of Social Security. You paid higher contribution rates so that your pension reflected that. And so, along with other groups who are similarly situated, some other Minnesota public employees, some federal railroad worker groups of retirees and others, we've been working with Senator Dziedzic to ensure that if that proposal does move forward, that we are not treated differently than those who receive Social Security benefits with respect to income tax. So maybe with that, I'll turn it over to Senator Dziedzic and thank her for joining us this afternoon.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for letting me join you. Thank you for the introduction, Dave. Dave is a great person to work with. You have a fabulous lobbyist there at the Capitol fighting on your behalf. He is very knowledgeable and actually has the history. So when we start talking about things relating to especially Minneapolis pensions that go back into the 80s, he has some of that history. And so him and some others have some great history that can explain it because it gets pretty complicated. So thank you for letting me join you. It's also nice to see, I recognize a lot of names and faces. So good to see all of you. Thank you. Nice to be here.Hank you for letting me join again. As he mentioned, I've been on the, actually, you all greatly helped in my first campaign. It was a special in January 2012. And in starting in 13, I've been on the tax committee. And since I have family members who are in the public pension plan, I have two brothers that are firefighters that also then don't participate in Social Security because of that contract. So I understand that when we started giving additional benefits to people who get Social Security and we tweak some of that, what taxes they pay, kind of started explaining that not everybody pays Social Security. And there was a lot of misunderstanding on, first of all, people didn't realize that some of you don't pay Social Security, and then kept saying, well, but you get the pension, and so you get a pension and that's taxed differently and that's everything. And I'm like, well, it's taxed differently, but it's still your retirement benefit. So how you tax one group and not another group, there should be parity and there should be some fairness there. So working really hard to kind of educate people. So I think now at least everybody on the tax committee understands that there are certain public employees who don't get Social Security. And so if we do, and they couldn't get Social Security. It's not just that you weren't putting into it, it's because of your job, you weren't allowed to put into it and you had a non-compatible plan. So I think there is more understanding now that we have two different groups. And so you should be taxing at least base Social Security or base retirement money as the same. So we're not talking additional IRAs or additional stock options that may or may not be part of a retirement package. We're talking about your base retirement. It should be treated the same. And so we at least are somewhat in the Senate on that level playing field, that people understand that we need to have some fairness. So, going forward, we'll just keep fighting for that. So I think that's kind of in a nutshell. And then there's also little side deals and little stuff going on, like I mentioned earlier, going back to the 1980s when we had some mergers of different Minneapolis plans and other plans into PARA, into other stuff. There still are some occasional complications to that we quite frankly have to go back and fight for, saying this was the deal then, you can't be 20 years into the deal and change it now. This was the deal, we need to honor that deal. So we continue to fight on that as well. So that's kind of the short and sweet update of where that's at. I can't make any promises of what will happen in the next session, because if you were to ask me a year ago what our priorities were going into the 2020 session, they probably would not be, no one saw COVID coming. No one saw all the other stuff that's gone on in 2020. And so I am not making any predictions, but unfortunately COVID has impacted not just our state budget, city budget. And so we, quite frankly, I think we are in a better position than a lot of states across the country, but we're going to need help with the feds are going to need to actually help do that stimulus program for states and local governments so that we can keep moving forward, because I don't think deep cuts right now is what anybody wants to see. So we are going to need the federal government to step up and do their fair share so that we can maintain those services that people need.